Okay, and here's what I've got. Got this all welded up. It's 304 stainless. It's 11 gauge, 1.5 inch tube steel. Okay, I've got the new bracket, mount bracket, whatever you want to call it, situated at least, and it looks pretty good. Actually, let's have a look. See, it's those legs parallel to the water surface that I was most concerned with, but you see that they, while they're held off a little bit from the transom right now, I'll probably tuck it in a little bit more. They look to be the right angle, more or less, to the transom. And so I'm going to go ahead and start now to cut up some pieces. I got some shims for the very top of the transom to take care of that, the difference in that in the two planes there, and some starboard to fill in that gap above the deck. That looks good. Make a little bit of a mess, but it looks good. Too bad. I'll go ahead and clean up these edges here, and we're going to cut them down, take another 4 inches off of each of these. So we'll have 6 8-inch pieces and 6 4-inch long pieces, all 1.5 inches wide. While fairly expensive, starboard is really quite easy to work with, I find. Cleaning up these edges is nothing at all. I know it's 100 grit sandpaper that's actually past its prime here, but it seems to work just fine. And one thing to note, though, I bought a board of this 12 by 27 inches, and the dimension, the 12-inch dimension, the width here, was off or short by a full 1/8 inch. I don't know why they would call it 12 by 27. I didn't measure the length. It's not dimensional lumber. There's no need to make it nominal or provide nominal figures. It should have been 12 by 27 in my opinion. And here's that last piece I was holding up, or wasn't holding up rather. I had 5 in my hand, but I do actually have 6 pieces. Here's the 6. We'll get this cleaned up and move forward with this bracket. I picked a bad day to leave my vacuum at home. Kids don't do this. Nice flexible rubber, and I'll put some caulking along there too. So I'm trying to do this by myself. I've got the bolts in, but of course I can't reach through here and hang on to the bolt head and thread the nut on the other side. I've got nylon locking threads. Anyways, so what I've been doing is I've just been taking a pair of vice grips, locking those on if I can. And then as I turn internally clockwise, it's going to turn this counterclockwise. And so what I've been doing is I've been cinching this down, and I'm not going to lose my vice grips in the water. This boat won't stay here, so it's not going to fall in the boat. It'll just fall down, but it seems to work okay. It's raining again, which is lightly, but not so good on the GoPro. On the inside of the transom, what I'm doing is I'm using a little bit of starboard with a fender washer and a nylon locking nut. As you see here, and so those will all go over. It's not much of a piece of starboard, but by the time I get the inboard in, I only expect to be floating around the river a little bit, not heavy duty sailing too much. I think this will be fine. This boat is really well built anyways, but that'll give it a little extra assurance. And the fender washer, of course, is nice and robust. Okay, I've got all 4 holes drilled and over drilled and filled with epoxy. This deck is cored. The core didn't look great, but it's okay. This will be a good temporary. Come back and drill these out once again, and then install the mount next week. Hey, good morning. It's I don't even know what it is. Why don't I ever know the date? I think it's 30th, March 30th. Back at the boat Saturday morning, and I'm working on the outboard motor bracket once again this morning. And let me show you what I've got. Last week I ended up with filling oversized holes in the deck with epoxy, thickened epoxy, and now I've taken a little bit of time to sand that down just a little bit. Didn't need it much. It wasn't a great epoxy job, I will admit, but it's there, and I'll spruce it up later on when I do the deck here in the next year or so. But here's how to look. So I've already put this back in temporarily, but you see here I've got the plugs and a couple on this side here, and then another couple more on this side. We've got one here and another one over this way. And so what I'll do is I'll put the supports. I've got this just set in. The bolts on the transom are in. But what I'll do is I'll put the blocks back down and then drill straight through them. I've got an extra long bit. I'll drill straight through, and that should open up a hole right in the middle of that in each of these 4 places. And then once those holes are set and everything's ready to be bolted together, I have some 3M 4200. I'm not using 5200. This stuff is crazy. I don't think I'd probably use it anywhere on the boat, to tell you the truth. Maybe on the deck to hull joint, but that's about it. Anyway, so this is a little bit more mild, and so I'll put this in, put all the bolts in place, tighten it down just ever so gently till this firms up overnight, and then I will fasten it down tomorrow, and then finally put the actual articulating mount, install that on the back, and then finally install the outboard, which I have in the car today. See how that goes. stuff is god awful. So I'm going to put some a starboard backer on each of these bolts through the hull, and I've got a nylon locking nut with a fender washer. I'm going to put on each of those just to help it absorb some more of the pressure. Most of the pressure will be right on the stern rail, if you call it that. Not sure what to call it, but whatever it is, the stern combing, I guess. Okay, I've got the new bracket installed, and it seems to be pretty good. Although, what am I going to do? Yanking it like that. I got this little just backer board, just a piece of cheap plywood, nothing special. But I'm going to install it here so that there's a little bit of a vibration difference, or break in any kind of vibration. This is what I'm using. I think we're just going to have to get whatever's longer than this. If I can get two in, I can get replacement bolts, and then I can put two proper bolts in. Okay, I went out and bought some new carriage bolts, just a ½ inch longer, as I said. So we get rid of these old ones. And we'll try to put this back together here. Get a carriage bolt in here. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and loosen this up. If I can loosen this up just a little bit, this big bolt on this thing. Okay, looks like it's all in. Put a safety cable there, and we'll get this thing out of the way.